Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in Rocket Pool and Ethereum and crypto. My name is Wack. Today is June 26th, and today's episode is going to cover a date for Saturn 1 upgrade, potentially. We've got more information, a discussion about team funding and how that's looking. We've got an update on NodeSet and what's going on there. On the Ethereum side, we're going to be talking about a zkSync proving breakthrough. We're going to be talking about more companies adopting strategy for ETH. We're going to be talking about interoperability between L2s and maybe using your crypto for mortgage. Let's talk about that and lots more right now.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so the first bit of this episode is going to cover a date for Saturn, which Lang has shared here a little while ago actually, and I kind of missed, so that was because I was traveling. I didn't cover it when I got back, but it looks like Saturn 1 is going to happen in October of 2025. That seems to be the latest messaging from the team. I missed a couple of community calls, so I'm sorry while I was away. I didn't get that information to you guys, but it looks like, the estimate of July, August has definitely gone. September has now been pushed back to October. So it looks like, we're still a few months away from Saturn 1. That partly, I'm not sure the full reasons why the timeline has been pushed back. I know that there was timeline with testing, with with Haleshki having problems. And then now with Hoodie, just taking a while to get all the stake online, everything going that way. So there were some issues there. And obviously, like we were tracking on Rocket Fuel about how, the DevNet updates were kind of slow in coming out. They're missing their deadlines, and those weeks, become months, and now it's become many months. So October of 2025 is the current target. Hopefully, the team can kind of stick with this. But let's see. So who's going to be helping with this audit? With this upgrade, it looks like there's a new audit company, and that's called BailSec, who are describe themselves as a top tier smart contract audit company with meticulous attention to detail, exposing risks that others overlook, and then they can do security reviews. I have never heard of this company before, but that's cool that they're partnering with Rocket Pool. They're the ones who put out this announcement saying onboarding Rocket Pool as our new client. Details are currently being finalized, and the process is set to begin very soon. Stay tuned and make sure to follow Bail Security for more updates. So it looks like that Bail are going to be one of the partners auditing the code for Saturn 1 and then maybe Saturn 2 as well. And I guess they're going to be a new audit partner, but this isn't technically official yet. As far as I know, this is the only place I saw this. This tweet came out yesterday, and Rocket Pool Twitter account did a handshake emoji with this, and they're saying always there to support you. So it looks like Bail Security are getting ready to start auditing for Saturn 1. So that is something to keep an eye on. And I guess it kind of makes that timeline a little bit more clear. So, if they start in July, they might take a month to audit. There'll be other auditing companies as well. And then, some testing for a month, maybe in September, and then sometime in October release. So maybe that's kind of where we're at. Although maybe I'm messing up the timelines there a little bit. Okay, let's go back to Discord here, and that information from Langers actually came up as a bit of a wider discussion that had started about the core team funding. So Rocket Pool, the PDAO gives the team a percentage of the inflation every year that the PDAO receives, and this has happened for the last couple of years now, and Scuzzle kind of brought this thread back up to the surface saying the current plan is to continue funding at the same rate, and then if you want to change anything about this or ask more questions from the team, ask now. So this is basically a process that can take a few months to get finalized. I think it's in October where the payment is due. And then Halulu responded by saying, can we afford to hire more devs? And then Scuzzle says, if you find a dev we should hire, I will personally write a GMC funding application. It says, as far as the team goes, though, they have been resistant to outside forces pushing them to hire more. And then Halula says, I know, but Saturn 1 dev time has shown again that this team is way too small, in my opinion. He says the protocol is nowhere near complete and we can't really afford to ship one update every 2 years with no capacity to spare. And then Halula says, I think there's a disconnect somewhere in what the goal is if the team is okay with the status quo. And that was liked by Ramana and someone else. Anyway, here Langers then breaks down the different upgrades that have happened with Rocket Pool. So Redstone August 2022, Atlas in April 2023, 8 months later, then Houston in June 2024, 14 months later, then Houston Hotfix 4 months after that, and then Saturn in October 2025, which is 12 months. So Hulu said I was being a bit hyperbolic. I was saying that, I would update every 2 years, but even update every 1 year or more than 1 year is, maybe not fast enough. And then Halula said, I was also personally appreciate some transparency regarding spending of the team's reserve. He said, it looks like they're currently 25,000 RPL going out each month. So this is out of the team wallet. And he says that dwarfs anything the PDAO can provide. So the team wallet had about 1.5 million RPL, if I remember correctly, somewhere around that amount. And it looks like the team has been spending that for payments potentially to team members. Now, here's the wallet activity. Noshua shared the screenshot with me. So basically every some number of days, let's start with 365 days ago. So that was a year ago. There was 25,000 that came out. 320 days ago, 30,000 came out. 230. So there was a bit of a lull for a while. 230 days ago, 20,000, and 230 days ago, then there was a big chunk. Actually, that time there was 95,000 that came out. Actually, 175,000. Oh wait, actually even more than that. That there was a lot that came out. Then 300,000 or 400,000 RPL. And then 162 days ago, 30,000 RPL, 110 days ago, 25,000 RPL, 72 days ago, 50,000 RPL, 55 days ago, 25,000 RPL, and then 41 days ago, 25,000 RPL, and 8 days ago, 25,000 RPL. So it looks like the team Dave is using the team wallet to pay for spending of the protocol. And then Noshua says that's 530,000 RPL over the last year, compared to 52,000 RPL that the PDAO has given over 1 year. So of course, 52,000 RPL at current prices is worth around, I'm going to say $250,000. That's not even enough to pay for one, crack dev, let alone a team of devs, 7 or 8 people, I think the Rocket Pool team is right now. That's just not enough. So the team, it looks like, have been subsidizing payments to staff through the team wallet. That's a lot. That's a lot of RPL. That's how I responded. And Noshua says that at this current rate of spend, that's a 2-year runway that the team has. So it looks like they're either going to have to do some kind of wallet management or some kind of treasury management if the price ever goes up. But of course, this is all subject to price changing. If the price doubles, then that's 4-year runway. If the price goes up 4x, that's 8-year runway, and so on. So there is, it very much depends on the price of RPL. And then at that point, then it becomes a matter of smart treasury management as well. So if the price does go up, do they sell more and stack USDC or some kind of other stablecoin like Bold or whatever, or do they just keep the RPL the way it is and try to manage their treasury that way and spending that way? But because of the way this thing stand right now, that's 2 years of development, and that's not that long in crypto terms. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting points that came up with this discussion, and I think that it's going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. Okay, let's move on to some staking news, and we're going to cover some news from NodeSet today, and they have hit 150 active node operators. Now, I am also a node operator, and a whole bunch of people who watch Rocket Fuel are also NodeSet node operators, so they are, that's a huge milestone for them to have hit. From what I understand, they have a lot of people waiting to become node operators, I think 150 is a really, really good number, and you don't really need to increase it more than that. Like, that amount of people can manage all the stake that will come into NodeSet. Like, that's just my perspective. It's got nothing to do with me wanting more validators, of course not. But no, this is a really, really great milestone. So congrats to the NodeSet team. They had a couple of updates as well, one from the 23rd, talking about block building and how some people who are using externally managed clients are having problems running MEV boost, and because of that, their blocks are being made empty. So here, Joe says that if you miss multiple proposals and you can't resolve the issue, you might be ejected from NodeSet. So if that is an issue that applies to you, fix up sharp. And then Wanda had an announcement earlier today saying that they've updated their node operator policy. So now they're going to be using beacon chain performance metrics rather than rated network to measure performance. And this is because of the difference in the algorithm. They'll also be updating the minimum required performance, and that will be going to 97%. And says, please note this is actually slightly lower than it was in the past, but we're likely to increase this minimum over time. And says, if your validators are below 97% on beacon chain, your permission to participate in NodeSet is at risk. So it says, as always, if you have questions. So if you're a NodeSet node operator, it's now a time for you to look at the metrics on beacon chain instead of on rated network. And like I said, they've changed that to 97%, but it's likely that will go up in the future. So definitely keep your eyes on that. There are a couple of client updates for those of you who are staking, and we have an update from Nethermind. This is 1.31.12. So this is a mandatory upgrade for people using the Volta chain. Now, I have no idea what the Volta chain is. So yeah, if you know what it is, then you need to update before July 8th. Also, we have a bigger update coming from Go Ethereum. This is Geth. So they have version 1.16.0. And they said that this introduces path-based archive node and several other improvements to the state database implementation. This also uses amount of bug fixes and small improvements. So if you are running an archive node on Geth, then this should help make things better. If you are not running an archive node, then that doesn't really apply to you. But there are other small bug fixes and stuff in this update that you can update to. Of course, these updates will be part of the next smart node release if you are a Rocket Pool node operator. Okay, moving on to some Ethereum news now. There was some really exciting news that came out of the zkSync ecosystem, and this was an announcement saying ready to prove Ethereum in seconds on a single GPU. So they're introducing zkSync Airbender. It's the world's fastest RISC-V ZK VM. So this is actually really exciting news for people who want to make the whole of Ethereum into a ZK VM instead of EVM. And this will be, I guess, coming online with the zkSync ecosystem. So they said that, on a single H100 GPU, Airbender reaches 21.8 megahertz base proving speed on standardized benchmark, and then 6 times faster than the closest contender, which is really exciting. And they said that they got it down to 35 seconds. So this is powered by Airbender zkSync OS. Our new zkVM execution environment is proving Ethereum blocks end-to-end in under 35 seconds on a single GPU. This opens the door for truly decentralized at-home proving. So the idea is that, you get one GPU, you can get that number down as much as possible. Ideally, within one block limit for Ethereum, and then people can home prove Ethereum, a ZK version of Ethereum in the future, which is really, really awesome. So there's other stuff as well. So cost reductions, very fast proofs, near real time. They're saying abundance of GPU compute power for ZK apps, novel use cases in on-chain privacy and gaming, and real-time cross-chain coordination. So this was a really big announcement out of the ZK team. That's really cool. And then Alex here, who's the founder of zkSync, said that near real-time Ethereum proofs on single GPU enter the era of ZK abundance. So they have 5 implications. So it has, what made this breakthrough possible? Full vertical integration. So this will actually allow home proving for Ethereum and zkSync. It'll allow freedom for ZK app developers. They'll have privacy by default, and they'll have seamless interoperable user experience across the ZK Elastic chain. So it says Airbender will lead to a complete redefinition of cross-chain UX as we know it. Another big reveal is landing from zkSync in a bit. I'm extremely excited about this one because it unlocks something only ZK can deliver. So they're teasing a lot of technical breakthroughs that are going to make zkSync even better. So yeah, congrats to them. Okay, Charles here, who works with BTCS, which is a NASDAQ traded company, and they recently pivoted to an Ethereum strategy, and that was really exciting, good stuff. They're actually rocket pool node operators as well, which is awesome to see. They announced that they just shared this announcement from a company called BTBT, which was formerly a Bitcoin mining company that was listed on the stock exchange. And they are actually pivoting now from being a Bitcoin mining company to an Ethereum staking and treasury company. So they are going into that play as well. And since they've been supporting ETH since 2002, and now they're going all in, selling the BTC and redeploying into ETH, which is absolutely awesome to see. And then they've got some information here about how it's all working out. This actually caught a lot of attention. So here, Fabrice as well says that they're bringing 27,623 ETH into the ETH strategic reserve, and I'm hoping to see this number going up fast as well. And there's the article linked to the block, and if you have a look over here, this says that a Bit Digital winds down Bitcoin mining operation, doubles down Ethereum as the latest ETH treasury play. So they are they wind down Bitcoin operations and redeploy the proceeds into Ethereum, into ETH. And it says, so they'll be staking that ETH as well. So they're following basically the SBET and BTCS strategy. And it looks like this is going to become a slightly crowded field. So it's going to be harder and harder for these companies to differentiate themselves. But it looks like SBET is, out at the front at the moment with Joe Lubin as kind of like their figurehead, and yeah, it looks like they're a bunch of different companies playing this game. Now, just because they're playing this game, it doesn't mean that the markets have liked it too much. So the news, the shares was trading at somewhere around $2.44 on Tuesday, and after the news came out, they actually had a dip down to $1.90. They're currently at around $1.99, so it's slowly then trending up. But I think once they start making those actual buys of ETH and start staking it and start getting the word out that they're doing that, I think their share price will start going up. And the same kind of thing happened with ShapeLink here. SBET, they had a pump, and then it kind of dipped down with that fuddy news. It actually pumped quite a lot, up to like $80, and then went down to $9. And then since then, it's been kind of slowly trending up from a low of $8.80. It's now $10, so it's gone up, just over 10% from the bottoms. But this is the news that is going to take. It's going to take time for people to get confidence in these companies and for them to really start growing. But I think that they're going to grow really fast. So that's really exciting and kind of scary. But we'll deal with the scariness of it another day. Okay, Josh Rudolph here has an update on the L2 interoperability, and this is a call that happens that started, and he says that a couple of updates from this group about improving interoperability across Ethereum. And it says one of the things is they're introducing a new wallet called Kohaku. It's a prototype wallet built for interoperability, cross-chain UX, and privacy, developed by teams from the Ethereum Foundation in collaboration with wallet teams from MetaMask and Wallet, and testnet prototype only. Version 2 coming soon with built-in privacy pools, and more details about Kohaku coming soon as well. And then they've got things like gasless one-click Ethereum transfers, and Bitconomy has worked on cooking that up, and they want everything to happen in one click without gas, which is really exciting. And then they have updates on based rollups and shared sequencing, and then their prescriptive updates from Fabric and Tycho and L2B as well. So there's full notes if you want to cover the notes from the call. Hani Abu had an interesting question. He says it'll be really worthwhile to test out the wallet because we need UX feedback early and a lot of it. And then it turned out there was a GitHub where you could compile the wallet yourself. And then TT said, let us know if you have any feedback. The goal is to reach the best UX. And then Hani Abu replied by saying it would be good to put a demo on Twitter or somewhere where people can have a look at it instead of needing to be technical and needing to compile it themselves and run it locally, all that kind of stuff. What would be better is if they just did some video walkthroughs of what it looks like, and then people could kind of give their feedback on that as well, because UX is so incredibly important for this. So yeah, there's updates happening with L2 interoperability, and that's really exciting to see. However, it looks like base rollups are something that's kind of controversial. I didn't think that this was the case, but it seems like there's some discussion going on about how this might be controversial. So here, Fedi's intern says clusters of rollups like zkSync and Optimism use a share bridge to have composability once zk becomes fast enough, and interoperability between the chains. However, this is not a real solution for Ethereum. And then they said Ethereum needs a solution to have interoperability and composability across every cluster and rollup. So base just means to use the L1 for the sequencing of the L2. And it says the L1 needs to scale, something that is more political decision than the technical one. And then he says that also need to solve interoperability, but this is a technical, political, and economic decision. So there's some limitations potentially to how that can happen, or some barriers basically that will come up to that. He said, I will always be on the side of what's best for Ethereum. Long term, we won't be able to provide a better solution than Solana and other challenges without scaling the L1 and a cohesive, interoperable, and composable solution across the L2s. So Alex again, from zkSync, replied to this kind of bearish about base rollups. Says, as a founder of zkSync, I'm all for scaling Ethereum L1 and figuring out interop between every chain. He said, I'm bearish on base rollups for different reasons. It's overly complicated Rube Goldberg machine. It says all base rollups are essentially a single sequencer that concatenates, I'm not sure what that word means, n chains together, but instead of doing it directly like a simple high performance chain, it has to deal with political coordination and management of intricate security interdependencies of a dozen teams. So I can elaborate on the technical details if you needed. So if we want to scale L1 to compute with Solana, let's do it. But that's through increasing the performance of the clients instead of like through these different standards. And then they're saying that the way to have elastic, infinitely scalable network of sovereign rollups that can talk to each other, let's enshrine up a rollup cluster architecture directly into the L1. It doesn't need to be a superchain or elastic network. Happy to cooperate on this as well. And it says, if we want the price of ETH to go up, we should stop trying to cling to once high MEV driven fees. It's just too late. There's no going back. So yeah, here then they kind of got into a discussion about what it means to be a base rollup and how they operate. And you can follow this discussion here, but this actually came up to Josh's attention, and he said that this would be discussed in the interop working group as well. So yeah, this is really interesting. Like the fact that this idea that Ethereans have kind of developed in their minds is that based on native rollups are going to fix everything. And it's just a matter of, when they arrive, that everything will be good for Ethereum again. And, we'll start burning ETH and everything will be composable. And, one transaction to go from doing what you were doing on zkSync to Base, to Arbitrum, to wherever you want to go. It looks like, there might be a little bit more nuance in that. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that whole discussion and those developments, and I'll share them with you as I learn more. Okay, some good news for Ethereum, and here we have a record high number of transactions processed on Ethereum. And here Leon says another record for Ethereum. The amount of transactions being processed in the Ethereum ecosystem just hit a new all-time high of 24.45 million transactions, and that's 1 million transactions per hour or 17,000 transactions per minute. So this is really awesome that Ethereum activity has just gone through the roof, and this is counting all L2s, like I think Validiums and Volitions and rollups and the whole lot. So the Ethereum ecosystem as a wider range, this is huge activity there. So that is really awesome to see, and I'm sure this number in the future is going to be 10 times bigger, if not many times bigger than that. So yeah, that's really exciting. Okay, moving on to some other news now, and this does kind of relate to Ethereum, ETH a little bit, but not quite. So here, the US, the director of federal housing, put out a statement yesterday saying that he's been studying crypto and President Trump's vision to make the US the crypto capital of the world. So he says he's ordering Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are two of the big mortgage providers in the US, to prepare their businesses to accept cryptocurrency as an asset for a mortgage. So ordered. So basically, what is going to happen here is that in the US, you will be able to use your Bitcoin, your ETH, and I think some other cryptos, as long as they are on a major exchange and have some certain criteria that they'll have to reach. You can use that crypto then as an asset to get a mortgage for your house. So that is really, really exciting. So right now, you can get a mortgage for your house by putting down a deposit, or if you have assets on the stock market, etc., or other real estate, you can use that as collateral to get a mortgage for your house. It looks like now you will also be able to use Bitcoin and ETH and some other cryptos to put down as a deposit for your house. Instead of a deposit, you use that as collateral for buying a house. So this is awesome news. It's really, really exciting. I saw some people kind of talking about how they've done this in the past, and it's been really, really complicated for them to do it. But the way it works basically is that you put the example I saw, the person used Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was like $15,000 or something, or $20,000, and the person used it as collateral to buy their house. And then as the price of Bitcoin went up, then their loan shrank in size, right? Like they could just sell their Bitcoin and purchase the house outright. So in an asset that goes up, that's really cool. Of course, if the asset goes down, then you can get that liquidated for them to pay to get cover the cost of the property or whatever. There's some gray areas there. I think the details of it you still need to try to figure out. But yeah, this is a huge step in more and more crypto, finding its way into traditional financial economic systems. It's huge. This is really, really big news. Okay, Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, who have hit an all-time high price in their stock price today. So huge congrats to them. That was kind of out of left field, but Coin going up so much recently with their stock, their IPO. I think it looks like people are taking profits out of Coin and putting them into Coinbase now. But anyway, Brian Armstrong here said that they are building a new perp style futures contracts available on Coinbase, and it's going to start with ETH and BTC. So these will be perpetual style futures, crypto futures, and they're going to start on July 21st. So it was going to start with ETH and BTC. There'll be no quarterly expiration, available 24/7 with spot price tracking, and it's going to be CFTC compliant. Yeah, this is big news. They've seen the success of perps on Binance, on Hyperliquid, and it really does look like Coinbase want to get in on this action. If this takes off, which I'm sure it will, it's going to drive a huge amount of money into Coinbase and the Coinbase stock. And I think the company is going to become even more valuable. But yeah, this is quite big news, and it looks like this is just the beginning. And soon they're going to be offering perp style futures for all the assets, pretty much, probably, which will lead to a lot of people getting wrecked. But hey, that's no crying in the casino, as they say. Okay, here there's an update from the US Senate Banking, Housing and Urban Affairs Committee, and they are exploring bipartisan legislative frameworks for digital asset market structure. So it looks like the Genius Act is bringing the stablecoin information and regulation into legislation, probably within the next couple of weeks. It looks like the House are going to vote on it probably next week, maybe. And that will then, Donald Trump would sign that as soon as possible. With this digital asset market structure bill, there are a couple of different versions of this kind of like floating around. And it looks like the Senate are trying to figure out what they want to put forward as a bill for this. Now, with this, it looks like the timeline might be slightly longer. So people I've seen are saying, maybe September or maybe around September time, it might go through if everything works well over the rest of the summer. But these are steps being taken right now for this legislation to go through. And I think it's really exciting that it's going to happen. Of course, with all these kinds of legislation, there are shortcomings, there are, strengths, but the fact that it's happening is something that the crypto community has wanted for a while, and I think one of the reasons why the confidence in crypto companies, from in crypto from TradFi companies has gone up so much. And we're going to enter this episode with this tweet from Nate Garasi, who follows a lot of what's happening with ETFs and crypto and TradFi. And he says, look who met with the SEC's crypto task force today to discuss tokenized equities. And this was a meeting that took place a couple of days ago, where it was the New York Stock Exchange meeting with the crypto task force. And this was general counsel from the New York Stock Exchange, chief product officer, and then other legal positions as well. And the main topics they discussed, there were three of them. The main one was listing and trading, considerations regarding trading of tokenized equities and structures for facilitating such trading. So tokenized equities obviously means putting it on the blockchain, and how that might look. And of course, we expect that to happen on Ethereum. Of course we do. And then, Etherealize should be on the phone with them saying, you got to put this on Ethereum, nowhere else. And then promoting competition level playing field and crypto exchange traded products. So they're saying discussion of potential generic listing standards for crop spot crypto exchange traded products. So it looks like the crypto products might be added to the New York Stock Exchange as well. And Hani Abu replies first by saying, on Ethereum. So yeah, this is happening really, really fast, guys. Like, for people who are not paying attention, I think that you can miss out on the fact that there is a huge amount of development happening right now on crypto integration into TradFi. And this is just going to get faster and faster. And, the idea was that you've got 2 years, maybe 4 years for a crypto industry to entangle and mesh yourself into the TradFi system as much as possible. So much so that it can't be turned back if the Democrats get into power next time and they start from a position of being anti-crypto, even though it looks like, some of these bills are going through in a bipartisan way. They can't undo them, right? Because it'll just be too enmeshed into the system. It looks like the crypto companies and even the TradFi companies have definitely taken this lesson to heart, and they are going to go full steam into integrating crypto. So yeah, big things are coming, and I will be covering them on Rocket Fuel for you as they happen. So thank you for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.